feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright. Echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Great to be back. Oh, great to be back. It's great to be back on the channel. I don't know if it's so good to actually be here tonight. I mean, what a crazy day for, well, everyone really. I think it's what is this week? What is this week in not only true crime in general? I mean, we've had a young girl stabbed and killed on public transport. That's one of the saddest videos I think I've ever watched in my life. Seeing that girl get stabbed in the chest and then trying to realize in her head what just happened to her and what she faints and dies from her injuries. Then we have this one. I woke up this morning, Australian time, about 7 a.m., and there was all of this going on, talking about Charlie Kirk. So if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, I'll explain in a second. But Charlie Kirk had been shot at a debate he was going to do in Utah. And I was like, okay, so this is like what happened to Trump like a year ago. I was like, okay, well, maybe he's all right. I was like, maybe he's all right. And then I Googled it and went on Twitter and I realized that they just announced that he had passed away. I was like, wow, that's horrible. I was like, I've heard of him before. I think a lot of people have. He's been on social media and in the politics stuff. And I was doing a bit more research on it. And then I just see all these people saying things like, oh, I'm glad he's dead. Bad things should happen to bad people. And I was like, is that the point we're at now? Is that the point in life we're at where we can't all seem to be adults and understand that there's always going to be a subsection of people who think differently than we do? And that concerns me. I actually don't care what your political beliefs are. I couldn't give a stuff what your political beliefs are. I really don't care. I work my way on this world is that I think most people are good people. Most people, not all people. But that we can all get along, even if we slightly believe in different aspects of life. You may believe in one thing and I believe in another. And I think for the most part, as long as we sort of do what we want to do and don't hurt others, then, do whatever the hell you want. But when we now shoot people, well, most likely for just having an opinion or whatever, I think that is, we've reached a new low. We've reached a new low. What is next? Are we going to start shooting our boss? Is that the next thing that we'll hear about? Is that people have gone into their workplace and shot their boss because they don't like what they have to say? Yeah, I hope that's not where we're going now, where it's like any disagreement with anyone we have is to pick up a firearm and kill them, because that's what we should do, right? I don't like that, and I don't think that's the world that we should all be working towards. I think that's horrific. Mimi says, agree to disagree, whatever, but to take a life. Right. Like, I don't believe in everything. I think me and Charlie have very different beliefs on a lot of different subjects, but I don't think he should be shot for it. That's sort of what he was doing, is going around debating people and asking for their, opinions on X, Y, and Z. So that's what he wanted to do. Like, I'll give you another example. So he was at a campus today in Utah doing his program that he does. Rock bands and rap groups and rappers go to college campuses too. should they be shot for the messaging in what they say as well? You know, uh, fuck bitches and make money and sell kilos of coke, and like, should you shoot them too because you don't agree with what they're saying? I don't really get it. Wendy R said, I heard all he wanted to do was debate with students and he wasn't yelling at these kids. I mean, that if they want to go there and debate him, that's the thing about free choice. You don't have to go and listen to him if you don't want to. It's not like someone forced you to be there. Carolina says, I have plenty of people who think I spread horrible messages, but I don't wish them dead ever. Yeah, the video is shocking. I agree that it should not be being spread around. It is an awful last few seconds of someone's life. I watched it, unfortunately, and I've done hundreds of different stories in true crime, walked through hundreds of crime scenes with you guys, shown you lots of different violent deaths of people. Uh, but to see someone shot in the neck and to see them bleed out in matter of like seconds, it's seconds. I it's no surprise that unfortunately he passed away. That injury he had was severe, really very very severe, and yeah, it's horrible. Like, it really is not a very nice video. So don't be spreading that and showing people. I think it's a good way to probably traumatize people. It's really, and the people that were there, they had to witness it. Like, what was it? They said there was like 4,000 people there or something like that. I feel for all the people who had to see it firsthand and then think that there was an active shooter in the environment. So they didn't know if they were going to get shot. That's normally how these things start, right? They shoot the person that's on the stage and then they shoot everyone else. So I can understand why all the people in the crowd were very, very like running and cautious and wanting to get out of there. Very, very awful. So, hey, Peekaboo. Um, I don't want to really talk about the political side of it as such. I just wanted to tell you where I stand with it, like why I think it's horrible that he died. Miss Woozy said all those young people who had to see it. Yeah, I heard something that said that their campus where they are, um, is like one of the safest campuses in America. But before today, obviously. So yeah. Linjed said, no one has won in this case. His family lost a husband, father, son, and brother, and we lost a good human. This person needs to be found and dealt with appropriately. It's pretty awful. Like, so Cash Patel this morning put out a release that said, we've got the guy in custody. We found him. We've done it. We have succeeded. All the while that there was a press conference going on where there was an FBI agent at the press conference saying that they did not have the person in custody. It seems like there's a little bit of a disjointed message in the FBI hierarchy going on. Like, I don't know how you get your the head of the FBI to come out and be like, we have him, and then at literally the same time have someone on a press conference saying that we don't have them. So I don't know why that happened. So right now they don't have the shooter, as far as I know. Wendy asked it, it's a very quiet campus. One of the reasons why your granddaughter chose to attend there. I hope your granddaughter's okay. I hope she's doing okay. Danny said Cash can't find the files either. I don't know if anyone's ever going to find those files. Mrs. Ping was saying that she thought that if they did exist, that they might have been destroyed a long time ago. The real files. Yeah. Yeah, she's of the opinion that if they ever existed, they were probably destroyed long ago. At least the real ones, like the ones that have all the info that everyone would like, that they were probably put into a shredder, a long time ago. SP1 said, my son and I have watched a lot of his stuff. It's biblical and political, but he was so kind. Even my son, who's atheist at this point, liked him. I mean, yeah, there you go. Hey Joe, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Old one says, I agree with Mrs. Ping. There you go. People agree with you that the files were probably destroyed a long time ago. Joe, hey Joe, hope you have come down from your CrimeCon high now. Your CrimeCon high. I hope you've come down down from it now. Let's see. Hey, Miss Woodsy, good to see you guys. So I'm not going to play the video. I think we would get kicked off YouTube even if we tried. I think we would get booted. What's the latest update here? I was trying to see if they've actually finally caught the guy. I do know that the FBI is requesting all videos, so they're starting to do a digital video canvas, and they've put a release out online with a link. So if you have any video on it, head to the FBI X or Twitter, and there's a link where you can actually upload any footage from today that you may have. So yeah, they're trying to do what they do these digital canvases, and they're trying to get as many viewpoints around what happened of the shooting to see if they can track down anyone or anything in the crowd. I think they're also very interested in video that was taken before the event started. So from what I heard, they want the video from before it even got underway. They're looking for possibly the shooter trying to get up on that roof or something like that. So let's see. SP Mama said, I think Mrs. Ping is right, or there are no files at all. Yes. Joe said, now I've got a CrimeCon hangover. You know, I must admit, when Aaron's sort of case finalized on Monday, I too had a hangover. I was sort of very like, it's sort of like a come down because you've been doing it for so long and now it's sort of like completed. So I was like, well, what do I do now? It's finished now. I've spent 4 months every day dealing with this particular court case. And then I was like, I don't know what I do now. Where do I go from here? Luckily, we have found another trial that we're trying to get into. Do you guys remember there was a case in New Zealand about two children that were found in a storage locker. It was a storage locker. Now Ping's going to get in trouble. Hold on, it is this trial. I might be confusing it with the one from overseas. Hold on, which I hope I'm not, because that's very disrespectful. Let me look up here. Two suitcases. Sorry. Yes. So the story was. Now I remember. They were. Do you remember this story? There was a guy or a family who bought this stuff at a storage auction. They bought the contents of a locker, and then they took it home and started opening it up. And inside, they found two children who had died. Well, that particular trial is now underway in New Zealand. So I am trying to get into it right now. I've sent off all the paperwork to their media team, and I'm trying to get verified to get into that trial. So we may be covering this in the next few days. It's been underway since Monday, and I'm trying to get done with it. But you guys may remember this. And then the mum, it was actually in Asia, and they had to bring her back to New Zealand to do it. Yeah. The mother of two young children found dead in suitcases at a New Zealand storage facility has gone on trial for their murder. The child's remains were found when the unclaimed suitcases were sold at an auction by the facility. So her name is Hak Young Lee, and she is representing herself in court. There is a photo of her from the courthouse in New Zealand. So I am working on this right now with their media team at the courthouse. I've done all my legal applications to get into it. So hopefully we will be able to start covering this in the next 24 hours or so. Chipmunk said, oh my God, that is horrible. Those poor children. Yeah, it was very strange at first when this happened. It was a big mystery. It was like, well, if they were in a storage locker, who put them there? And that was the big mystery for a long time. But then we found out that it was the mum who put them there and then fled overseas to Asia. So we're going to learn a lot more about this as we get through this trial. Now you would understand that being that there was two children involved, Yuna and Minu, they are 6 and 8 at the time that they died. Apparently, they had been dead for several years. So yes, she was in South Korea when they apprehended her and brought her back to New Zealand, and she had been there since 2018, and that the child's father had actually died in 2017 of cancer. That is very sad. They say Miss Lee is alleged to have murdered her children by giving them a dose of prescription medication sometime between June and July of 2018. Why is it that I keep getting poisoning cases? I'm going to end up being an expert in poisoning by the end of this year, apparently. Rachel said, "Are the laws for covering it different in New Zealand?" Uh, they're very similar to Australia. Very similar. So there is a subjudice contempt. You have to basically do it the same way. I would think that it was I've already read through some of their reporting covering laws, and I think it's almost exactly the same. There's a couple of differences. Joe said, "I need your help covering the London Valdez case. I got my second interview with my commissar." Sure, sure. I'll do whatever you need. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. Let me know. Let's see. Run, Mrs. Ping. More like she would poison me, I think. I think she'd probably poison me. I better watch out what she makes me for lunch. I think that would probably be more what happened. All right, let me see. Oh, sorry guys. I'm trying to see if we got an update on this. My phone's acting very slow. Hold on. Uh-huh. Um, by the way, I wanted to thank our friend Linda. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. I don't want to use your full name, but I want to say thank you for the donation that came in on the Aaron Patterson show that we did on Monday. I appreciate it. I couldn't thank you until now, but I remember. Miss Woozy said maybe wait some things. Yes, I will maybe wait some things. I don't know what you want me to do, but okay. SP Mom said, "Oh my goodness, these boys." Oh, you got the kids tonight? Okay, so yes, the trial that I just told you about is underway right now, has been since Monday. Ping is hoping to be allowed to cover that trial from tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. That'll probably be, tomorrow afternoon. Let's see. All right. Yes. I'm just trying to see if we get an update on Charlie Kirk's assassin update. Did they give us just that those two people of interest? One was that older man that you saw being hauled away from the scene of the crime, and then they arrested a second person later on, which is about 5 hours ago now. That person has been um, released, so they are not the person responsible. They are still searching. Yeah, so they are still searching for the person who killed Charlie Kirk. All right, let me see if I've got a better update for you. Yeah, it's a very chaotic aftermath. I would agree with that sentiment. I think that it is a little chaotic right now. Let me see. Okay. Now let me check if there's another update. It's sort of gone very quiet in the last 2 hours. People are saying that that was an interesting aspect. Like when Trump was shot, that shooter took multiple shots at Trump. He was a crap shot, and didn't get him except on the ear. This guy, uh, he only fired once. He did hit Charlie, and Charlie obviously died. Um, there was a sniper that was being interviewed a couple of hours ago. He is the guy who holds the record for the world's longest shot in war. So I think it's Afghanistan a number of years ago, he shot a target over 7,000 feet away, and he holds the record for the longest shot in war. He was saying that he believes that the shooter was not very experienced because he was saying that if they were military trained, they would hit here in the chest, like in the center, right here, or here in the head. And he was telling it in his interview that he thinks the shooter was aiming for the center of the head, but he didn't account for the wind or the drop that the bullet would have to take to get to Charlie from his vantage point. And he's saying that he thinks that as the bullet dropped and then like got pushed, it hit the vein, the carotid artery in the neck. And he said this would be a very inexperienced shooter because someone who's been around firearms would know how to adjust for the drop and the wind. So he thought it was someone who hadn't used a long range firearm very well or for very long. So I don't know if that's true, but I mean, that guy shot thousands of people at multiple long ranges. He's got a better opinion than me. No, 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 no. Hey, Surly Sally, how are you? That's right. That other guy was arrested for obstruction of justice. He was screaming, "Shoot me!" at the cops, and he had a rifle in his vehicle. He sounds very stable. Sounds very stable. Chipmunk said, "This is the old guy that shot him." No. Rachel said, "That's what my hubby said. He didn't account for the wind and the drop." Yeah, so this guy was a military sniper who, like I said, holds a world record for longest successful shot that killed someone on a battlefield. And he was just saying that 200 feet or whatever it is, he's like, that's an easy shot for a proper sniper. He's like, that's easy. He's like, when you're up high and shooting down onto someone, for someone who's professionally trained to shoot, this is like shooting fish in a barrel. It's very easy. And he's like, that's why they like that vantage point professionally, like as a military person. That's why his opinion was that this person was most likely someone who does not have a military background in sniper or any type of long range shooting. Joe said, that was really dark blood. I tend to think he hit the jugular vein uh, instead of the carotid artery. So I don't know. You could be right. Whatever it was, it probably did a lot of damage, unfortunately. But that's what everyone was sort of saying in the articles. But you might be right. Lin Jen said, "I'm betting a 308 rifle was used." I think the sniper also said he believed it was a 308 or a 757 or something. No, that's an aeroplane. You can see how well Ping knows his firearms. I'll get it for you. Hold on. I'll get you what he says. Yeah, it's in this one. He had a guess on the firearm, if I can find it. Yeah, let me take you down. Yeah, so this guy shot 6,778 feet and killed someone in Afghanistan. And he set the record for longest shot by an American in Afghanistan. Let's see. He did have a guess on the weapon, what type it was. He says he thinks it's maybe a 308 bolt action or a 7.62. So he said the crack of the bullet was a rifle, not an AR. So a lot of people thought it was like an AR-15, but he's saying no, it's not. This thing had like a deep crack and thud, and he's saying that sounds more like a long-range rifle rather than a tactical gun. So Chipmunk said it's the one with the trigger thing on it. That's right. That's exactly what it is. Sally said there is currently conspiracy that the old man was a decoy placed so the shooter could escape more easily. The shooter was on a rooftop, so it would have taken time to get down. In that video you see after the shooting happened, he is hauling the guy on the roof, and you get that glimpse of him. He is bolting. So maybe in the panic of everyone not quite knowing what's going on, he could have got away, but that might be a real Maybe that's what happened. Wouldn't be surprised if there was multiple people in on the, like, you don't just go out one day and go, yes, I'm going to go shoot this famous political, commentator. I think it would have to be maybe a few people that knew about it. Like that guy on Twitter. I don't know if everyone saw this, but there was a guy on Twitter who, I'm going to call it Twitter. I ain't calling it X. You can sue me over it. There was a guy on Twitter who, like, the day before the shooting was saying something big is going to happen at my university tomorrow. And then after the shooting, he backtracked and even changed his handle on Twitter because he was so, I don't know, paranoid, worried that people were going to think it was him that did the shooting. But it looks pretty like, if you really weren't involved, you should buy a lottery ticket because you seem to be a fortune teller. The fact that you would know that something big was going to happen and then there was a shooting during the event, I think that's pretty crazy. Let me see if I can find this guy and I'll show you what he said. Yeah, here we go. If you haven't seen this already. So this was the person on Twitter, and he says, Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. And then it says, let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. And then after the shooting, he completely basically vaporized his own Twitter and changed to a new name. So don't know if it's got any, if he's got anything to do with it, but it's a pretty dumb thing to write. So Sally said, I've seen the video. Trust me, it's not something you want to see, but you can see his body freeze in action before falling. I don't believe he felt any suffering. He was halfway through a word, and you hear it on the video. He's almost halfway through saying something, and he gets shot. And I'm not even sure he realized anything after that point. It was so catastrophic with that blood. I just like the little girl on the transport. She was stabbed in the neck. She would have known that she was getting attacked, but I don't know how much more after that because she sort of looks down and she looks at her wound and she's sort of looking around and she just collapses like within seconds. And she was stabbed with a little knife, but Charlie was shot with a rifle through the neck. So his blood loss was a lot more and faster than the young girl on the train. So Marlene said his wife and kids were there. That would have been horrific for them. SP Mom said he was a jerk that ensures death for him, but he ate his words. Who are we talking about? You talking about the shooter? Wendy R said he might be wise to retain a lawyer, idiot. Oh my god, hey, what are you doing up here? Sorry guys, as you can see, there's a cat. Look. Here, come on, Baba. There's your daily muffin interlude. Muff, go lie with mom. Come on, go lie with mom. Go hang out with mom. SP Mom said he was a jerk. Yeah. I was wondering if his family was there. Yeah. Yes, it is Mr. Muffin. All right. No update at this point about Charlie or the assassin right now, which is crazy to me. Like, where is this guy? How come we don't have a name? There's got to be cameras. It's a university, so there's got to be some. There's got to be some sort of like video of that area before and after. Let me see. I am not seeing an update right now. No new news in the last little bit. Let me double check. Oh my god, he's back again. Hey, Muffin. Oh, hey. Muffin, hold. Sorry about that. The cat literally kicked me in the nuts when he jumped up, so I had to go put him over there. Audio Power said bad week in Australia for animal encounters. Person passed away from a shark attack and a person from a dog attack. Yeah. A shark ate someone and a dog attacked a girl. Miss Woozy said, my subconscious messaged to Mr. Muffin. I know he came back. I have faith that they will find him. Yeah, there's got to be a ton of video cameras for sure. Moira is in bed. Yeah. It's probably who's going to see. He's coming back. I just saw him walk under my chair. Come on. Look, he's back. See? All right, fine. Buddy, there's no room. All right. Don't lick my hands. There's not enough room for a cat and me to do a live show. Okay? I don't know where you want to sleep. Hey? Crazy animal? Oh, buddy. There's no room for a cat and dad. Come on. All right, fine. We're going to do the show like this. Don't lick my hands, though. Hey. All right. Buddy. All right, fine. We've got a cat and a live show at the same time. Let's see if we can do it. He's trying to lick my hands every time I touch the mouse. He tries to lick my hands. He just thinks I'm trying to pat him. All right, let's continue. I can't remember what on earth I was going to say, but I was going to say that I didn't see an update on Charlie about the suspect or anything like that. And hunt for yeah, I'm not seeing no new update tonight. I thought we would have got a press conference before midnight, but they just did that one earlier today, and then Trump did his message to the country. But that is it. Yeah, if we get an update throughout the show, I'll let you know. But right now, nothing much else to report. Don't call it a mouse around muffin. I won't. All right, I want to talk about this young girl who was killed on the public transport because we didn't get to do this story. Hold on. It is one of the most horrific stories. Like, it's been a really bad week for violent stories. Muffin, where are you going? Yeah, let's go over here. So in Charlotte, and I'll play the little video. Hold on. Yep, here we go. Muff.
President Trump is calling for the death penalty in the stabbing death of a Ukrainian woman on a Charlotte commuter train. The Justice Department has announced federal charges against DeClaros Brown Jr. He's accused of last month's murder of Irina Sharuchka in an unprovoked attack inside a light rail car. North Carolina has also charged Brown with first-degree murder. ABC Justice Department reporter Alex Mallon is here with more on that. So, Alex, what's the latest in this case?
Well, we know that this federal complaint was unsealed yesterday, charging DeCarlos Brown. And in that document, they detail what we saw on that horrific video, how after Irina entered the train, she sat down for about 4 minutes. And then DeCarlos Brown allegedly got up and stabbed her in the neck 4 times. You can see in that horrific video of him walking away, blood dripping down from his hands onto the ground. Obviously, the Justice Department getting involved here after he was charged at the state level. This really kind of shows how the Justice Department believes that this needs to be elevated to the national consciousness. We've heard over and over again, President Trump, the White House yesterday, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, really elevate this case. They are trying to make this as an example of democratic governance in big cities and lax crime policies, in their words. And that's, I think, what we're going to see. They're going to have to return an indictment now against DeCarlos Brown. So that's really the next step that we're going to see in his federal case, Diane.
So what does it mean for him now to be facing both state charges and federal charges?
Well, this federal charge is actually very interesting. It was created under the Patriot Act in the wake of 9/11. It's very unusual for the Justice Department to bring this, but obviously it is death penalty eligible. So if he is convicted of this charge, Attorney General Pamela Bondi has said that she urged federal prosecutors in his case to seek the maximum penalty if he is convicted. So we'll see these cases play out. Usually federal cases play out in a more slow fashion than state cases. So you'll likely see the state case go first to trial. And then if he does not plead out in this case, that will happen similar to his federal trial.
I think he should just get the death penalty, unprovoked. That girl was doing nothing on the train to bother anyone, and I know all murders are bad, including Charlie's today, but it's awful. I don't know if you've watched the video. I am not going to play it of Irina's murder, but I saw it on online earlier this week, and it is some of the I don't even know how to describe it. This guy just here. Here's the photo. If you haven't seen it, I know most of you probably have, but here's the screenshot of him in action. She's just sitting there, minding her own business, and he gets up, sitting behind her, and starts stabbing her in the chest and in the sort of this area, and then he just walks off. And the vision after it is the saddest bit. I think she's in shock. She doesn't really understand what has happened to her except that she's been injured. And all of a sudden, she goes to move a little bit and she just collapses, and no one helped her. Why is no one helping? I mean, you just watched her die and collapse on a train. I mean, if that was your child or someone you cared about, you would hope that someone would help you. People were too busy filming on their phone to do anything. And to me, that is crazy. I think they helped her after she'd already collapsed and much, much later. But for a lot of it, you see him walking through the carriage and people are just sitting there pretending like they didn't see anything. It's horrific. And this poor girl collapses in her seat and dies within minutes, just dies. It's a really, really horrible story. Rachel said it's heartbreaking and scary video. Poor girl was doing nothing. No one helped her. Yeah, they just watched her pass away. I mean, ugh. Wendy said, I guess the covering of her face with her hands reminded me of shame. Yeah, she almost seems like she was yeah, she puts her hands over her face like that. The era I was brought up in, people would have helped her. I know. No one helped. Yeah. Chipmunk said, I'd be the first person to take my shirt off and tie it to get help. I don't exactly know what her injuries were. Hold on. Injuries. Or if we got a medical examiner report. I'm guessing she died from, stab wounds, but yeah, let me see if I can find what it says. The video is on here. I'm not going to play it. I don't think we need to see it. Let's see. So the suspect didn't even pay for a ticket. He was fare jumping at the time. Congratulations. Previously arrested. So he'd previously been arrested, the suspect, multiple times, convicted of armed robbery with a dangerous weapon and breaking and entering, and larceny, as well as being charged with assault and misuse of the 911 system. That's what the suspect has had in the past. Now murder. Let's see if I can find. I wanted to see what her injuries were. I don't know if we've got the medical report. Several jobs. So, according to the FBI agent in Charlotte, when she entered this country, she immediately obtained a permit to work in the USA. The 23-year-old woman was working as a senior assisted living, someone that works with older people in a living center. She worked at a pizza place, but she also took care of animals in her neighborhood. Prior to moving to Charlotte, she graduated with a degree in art and restoration from a college in the Ukraine's capital of Kiev. And they're saying here, when Zarutska was killed in Charlotte on August 22nd, she was wearing a work uniform. She boarded the light rail to go home following a shift at one of her jobs. They say this lady rode that train many times. She was probably tired after a long day of work, just trying to get home to her loved ones. I agree. They're saying here her family, yeah, they contacted her family about did she want to be taken back to her country to be buried and given burial. But her family said that she loved America so much that they wanted her to be buried in the USA. I mean, we ask for good immigrants, right? That's what we ask for. Um, and she did the right thing. She got a job. She she did the right thing. Everything you would want from someone who's come to a different country. So they're the type of immigrants we do want. It's people that want to come to the country, work hard, and apply for different things like apply to work and different certifications. And she did the right thing, but this jerk decided to kill her. They say the suspect exited the train 2 minutes after stabbing her and was arrested by police on the platform for murder. And they're saying she was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect was transported to treatment following his arrest and then was charged for first-degree murder. All right. I want to see if we can get anything about what I'm trying to find is if people had given her first aid, could she have been saved? That's sort of what I'm looking for. Okay, I can't find. Maybe we'll find out at the trial for him when when they have this trial for Carlos Brown. Maybe we will find out more of the medical exam. Hold on. Let me see if I can try one more thing. Yeah, medical. Okay. So it says here, Irina's medical findings were not released to the public by the medical examiner's office, but the incident report states she was fatally stabbed many times with at least one wound to the neck while on the light rail train in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, okay. So they've not made any of her injuries public, just that she was stabbed multiple times. I just wanted to know if it was possible if someone had given her first aid, could she have been saved or not? But we are not going to find out right now. Wendy asked if they could at least done was give some comfort. Hey, Michaela. So train passengers called 911. How were cops waiting on the platform 2 minutes later? Might have been the train driver because the train driver has cameras all through the train. So they can often call the transit police or other police to like meet them at the station. That is always a possibility. Chipmunk said, I was terrified when I used the trains in New York. I had a suitcase on wheels and it was clear I didn't know where I was going. I know I stood out. I had an issue and several people helped me at once. That's very nice to hear that the New Yorkers were nice to you. Depends on the day and the people around. That is probably true. Yeah, it's one of the saddest videos. So this week's been a bad week for, or this happened on the 22nd of August, but it's been a really crappy few weeks for people who have died in a very public way, where we see the last few moments of their life. Today, Charlie Kirk. A couple of weeks ago, Irina. So they both are terrible stories, really terrible. DOJ. So apparently the DOJ will take over the murder case and they're going to say it's because of his past criminal history. So now, like we heard in that press conference, it's now a federal case. So yeah, yeah, I agree. People are saying that there should be an outcry over both people's deaths, and I think that is true. I think we should be outraged. They say the man suspected of carrying out the deadly knife attack on a Ukrainian refugee in Charlotte, North Carolina, has been charged with a federal crime that makes him eligible for the death penalty. They're saying Carlos Brown Jr., 34, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder over the unprovoked attack on the 23-year-old Irina Zarutska on a train last month. Her killing prompted a widespread debate over crime in American cities. And they're saying he's also been charged with causing death on a mass transportation system. That's an interesting charge. I've never heard of this charge before, except used in like terror related type of things. I've never heard of it being used for this type of crime. Yeah, let me see. This is from the DOJ. On August 22nd, 2025, at approximately 9:55 p.m., officers with the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department responded to a call for service related to an assault that had occurred on the Lynx Blue Line light rail in Charlotte. Callers indicated that a woman had been stabbed by a male. Responding officers located the victim inside the rail car. The victim, subsequently identified as Irina, had sustained multiple stab wounds. A pocket knife and other items were collected from the scene. Investigators reviewed the surveillance footage that showed the victim entering the light rail car and sitting down in the row in front of Brown. Approximately 4 minutes later, Brown pulled the knife from his pocket, unfolded it before striking the victim 3 times from behind. Following the attack, he walked away from the victim. Responding officers located Brown on the light rail train and he was arrested. There you go. It says, if convicted, Brown faces a maximum statutory sentence of life in prison or death. Ultimately, his sentence will be determined by the court based on the advisory sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. The FBI is investigating the case with the assistance of the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department. So, yeah, if they have mandatory sentencing guidelines that they have to follow, it's a very thin way. It's sort of what happened to Aaron Patterson. Aaron Patterson had a very thin area of negotiation on her sentence due to the mandatory sentencing. Chipmunk said, I was terrified. I hope you're not terrified anymore. Hey, Woman of Steel, how are you, my friend? Yeah, it's been a crappy day. Let's see. There was also a shooting. It happened very not long after Charlie's shooting happened. Hold on. School. There was a school shooting today. That is true. It was Evergreen High School in Colorado. So let me see. Let me get you an update about that one. Let's take you to Denver 7. They have the update for you.
You know, we saw a 6th school bus get here and, of course, drop off some of those students. So we know at least 6 of those, they looked pretty full. They have been here at Bergen Meadow Elementary School. We've been pushed back a little bit, but you can see some of those reunifications. They have already started happening. We've seen parents walk out hand in hand with many of their students. You see just a few of them walking up where we are right now. And we've gotten the chance to speak to so many of those families who were impacted by this. Some of them telling us that they were obviously really shaken and startled by everything when they started hearing the news. You can see that line of vehicles. That is still families waiting to get into this area to make contact with their children. So still so many parents who still need to get in here. But we did get the chance to speak with one high school freshman. His name is Ty. He goes to Evergreen High School, and he told us he was outside when he was hearing popping noises. He said he knew exactly what was happening, and he tried to get inside as quickly as he could. His phone was broken, so he couldn't text his mom and dad, but his dad was able to make contact with here at Bergen Meadow. Listen to what he had to say.
It was just a lot. I walked outside the gym and I heard shots, multiple shots firing, just loud pops. And at first I didn't think it was anything until I just heard it repeatedly, and it kept shooting. And then I knew it was shots.
Information started pouring in, and then you're just kind of terrified, like, oh my gosh, is he okay? You're just sort of waiting out, hoping for the best. Contacting other parents that to see if they've heard anything. And actually, like, information travels so fast. His brother graduated 2 years ago and is still like in a team chat with like lacrosse players that are there. So like he was like, oh my gosh, Dad, whatever. We think everybody's okay, but we haven't heard from everyone. So.
And his dad telling us that he tried to get here as soon as he could so he could get his son and make sure everything was safe. and everyone here was able to get to their children as well. We, again, are seeing some of those reunifications happening behind us. A lot of those parents walking out with their children now. We haven't seen a 7th school bus come in this way just yet, but of course, we'll keep you updated as we speak with more children, more families about what happened today at Evergreen High School.
So yeah, this story has sort of been buried by the news of the shooting of Charlie Kirk. So this was mentioned in a couple of news reports, but mostly a footnote compared to some of the other things that happened today. Hey, Hella, what's up, my friend? Hella says, I think the only solution is for US schools to have the same security as airports, being totally serious. Hey, man, they should have the security that they have at the courthouse. Courthouse, you have to take everything off. Like, I had to take, like, everything, my chains, the wallet. I have to take out my freaking laptop, anything with a battery. You have to, sunglasses have to come off. I have to basically strip down, empty everything out of my bag, my backpack, and then they scan it all. And yeah, I mean, if they do it at the courthouse to protect the judges who sentence people and the lawyers and stuff like that, why don't they do it at the schools? Why don't they do it at the schools? Hey, Kat, what's up? So yeah, I agree with you. Hey Kim, how are you? Just found out you can keep your shoes on now, though. Can you? That's an exciting development. I think that's great. No more shoes taken off at the airport. Michaela said they cracked down on phones in schools in Alabama. The kids have to have them turned off and in their lockers. Sounds like a bad recipe for these events, especially if they can't reach anyone like their parents. Oh my God, Cat. Hey, stop. Hey, what are you doing? Did you see what he just did? He put his head on this side and pushed it into my face. Good work, Muffin. Good work. This is why we don't have you up here when Daddy's doing a show, huh? Hey, Smoochy Cat. All right, can I have the microphone back now? All right. Crazy animal. Let's see. Kids should not have to be homeschooled. I agree. I was homeschooled for part of my life. It was horrible. Woman of Steel said, agree. Why should the rest be above our children? I agree. So if we're willing to put these in for a court case and then, protect the judges, the ones who are at the final part of the crime, shouldn't we try and make sure the crimes don't happen at all? I think they already got some security. Some of them even have guns. Why can't we have we have to take everything out of your backpacks and you have to be, I mean, they already have metal detectors. He does. That's right. He does. Why? What does your cat call you? Kim says Miss Woozy had out. I don't know what that means, but we definitely need better security at our schools. You need something. Need something. Can't keep having kids be shot just for going to get an education. It's ridiculous. Cat said, "Speak louder for the people in the back." He's a very naughty cat. All right. So yeah, the shooting at this school that was sort of drowned out today, which is, I don't know. I feel like it's a disservice to the victims in this particular one. I'm just trying to see what other ones we have here. So it was Jefferson County. They said one student remains in critical condition, according to the doctors, while another had non-life-threatening victims. The shooter is described as a 16-year-old male. He fired a revolver at students at 12:24 p.m. Wednesday, bringing scores of first responders to the school. 3 students, including the shooter, were treated at Common Spirit St. Anthony Hospital for gunshot wounds. A 4th student took themselves to hospital with injuries sustained while escaping the high school, fleeing to a nearby elementary school. And they said it was the scariest thing you could ever think could happen. The PIO with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office said, honestly, I don't know if our suspect is even old enough to drive. Not old enough to drive, but old enough to shoot up a high school. There you go. Miss Woozy said, Your cat heard naughty cat and started yowling? That's right. I was telling your cat off too. Danny said no child should be above the law. Keep them safe. I think it's a good idea. I think we should do that. Marlene said, remember the first grader who shot his teacher and many people knew he had the gun? Yeah, I remember that. Like earlier this year or last year, there was a first grader who brought a firearm into school and ended up shooting his teacher. And there was people who saw the gun before the incident and did nothing about it. They were just like, yeah, that seems right. A first grader having a gun. Yeah, that seems about normal. Michaela said, for a while, I thought kids had to have clear backpacks. Is that still a rule anywhere? I don't think so. That might have only been for like one district. Hold on. Clear backpacks for high school USA. Let's see. Okay. I think that's. Yeah, I'm trying to find out some background on it. So I don't know what areas. Yeah, let's go over here. This is from a while ago though. Do you have to? Yeah. Do you have to? Do you have to have? Yeah, let's go to Cyber Backpack. They sell backpacks to schools. Yeah. What schools have to have clear backpacks? They say the use of see-through or clear backpacks is now mandated at a significant number and growing number of schools around the USA. These schools have enacted regulations prohibiting opaque backpacks as a safety precaution in response to worries about school shootings and security. It is believed that having visible backpacks will make it more difficult for students to sneakily carry forbidden objects into class. I feel sorry for the young ladies who need to carry their sanitary products around. They say, notably, a number of school systems instituted a clear backpack policy for its students after the massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Clear backpack regulations, however, elicited different responses. While some parents and kids believe the practice violates privacy or is ineffective, others welcomed it as a means of enhancing security. Public schools in Broward County, Florida, State of Texas, Dallas Independent School District, South River Public Schools in the state of New Jersey, Oakland Unified School District in California, public schools in Montgomery County, Maryland, public schools in Prince George's County, Maryland, also have to have it. The state of Washington's Seattle Public Schools all have to have them. Public schools in Chicago in the state of Illinois. So there is a list of some of the schools that have to have it. So there you go. Kitty. Are you guys trying to call my cat? Cats don't like to be scolded. Chipmunk says, say it again, Ping, you naughty cat. He is a naughty cat, aren't you? Hey? Hey? Naughty animal? He's just purring. He's like, yes, Dad, I'm very naughty. He's like, give me some more food. I like food. Where's my biscuits? I want them. He's been a bit he has been a bit naughty. When we bought the new bed after Mrs. Ping's surgery, we have to close the door because we don't want them clawing the bed. And he sits outside and yowls all night long, saying, open the door. I want to come in. Hey, I want to sleep on the bed. I want to sleep on that new bed. Hey, let me in. He's been doing it like every night. And then I open the door and he just goes, meow. And he's like, yeah, I didn't make that noise. That wasn't me. Must have been a different cat. He's very cheeky. Chipmunk said, I thought it was a certain place for a set time. Could have been. Cats always want food. He does all the time. Miss Woozy said, Jack is having an... He's like, where's that noise coming from? Chipmunk said, cats run the house. That's right. We are servants, not pet owners. Jojo says, I live next door to a high school. They went no backpack one year. The girls were pushing toy baby strollers, and the guys were using toy wheelbarrows, rolling trash bags to haul books in. That would have looked like some sort of weird muck up day at a high school. You'd be like, hey, what are you guys doing with all the baby prams and the wheelbarrows? They'd be like, oh, nothing. We don't. That's very strange. Wendy asked, do cats have staff? I definitely feel like a staff member to this particular cat. He thinks that whatever he wants, he can have, and I have to try and tell him that that's not how it works. That he has 2 food times every day, and that's it. By the way, in Charlie Kirk, you may have heard that MSNBC, one of their reporters on the air, named Matthew Dowd, made comments that were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable in the wake of the shooting. MSNBC has fired that particular on-air talent from their network. So Dowd has been let go, according to Variety. According to Variety, Matthew Dowd has been fired for his comments after Charlie Kirk's killing today. So he was a political analyst for MSNBC, and he made some pretty horrific comments afterwards. And they're saying here, during MSNBC's coverage of Kirk's shooting, anchor Katie Turd asked Dowd about the environment in which a shooting like this happens. Dowd responded with the following about Kirk. He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing the sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And he says, I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that is the environment we are in. You can't stop at these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place. And that's the unfortunate environment we are in. That led to his firing a few hours later. So that commentator has been fired. I think that is pretty stupid of a statement to make. It was only a few months ago that we don't know what the suspect in this particular shooting is. We don't know if they're conservative or they're left leaning or whatever. Don't know. Not sure yet. But it was only a few months ago that we had a horrific crime committed against the other side of politics by someone who's from the right side. So I don't think anyone looks particularly squeaky clean right now. If this ends up being someone from the left who's killed Kirk, it makes everyone look like it's a little mucky. I don't think anyone has any rights to throw stones in a glass house right now. There's been many crimes committed against many people on both sides of the political spectrum just this year. The idea is to tone down the violence and the heat. Got to get away from the heatedness. There's a way to debate all this crap without resorting to violence. I think that's what we got to do. Turn down the rhetoric about killing people. That's what we got to do. Wendy said, didn't they say something about they said there could have been a fan shooting in celebration. I think that might have been on CNN, not MSNBC. Diane Marie said, there is really something wrong with people finding joy in someone's death. Yes, there is. Wendy R said, no one is winning in that argument. I agree. No one is winning no one's got any points or anything to add to their total right now, because really both sides of the political spectrum have dipped their toe in shit in the last 12 months. So it's ridiculous anyone here trying to point score on one. It's disgusting to try and do that surrounding someone's death, just as it was gross when the ones happened a couple of months ago and that guy in the mask came and shot them, and same idea, right? No one should have been doing it that day either. So Woman of Steel said, that is untrue. Charlie only tried to educate college kids on politics and economics and things they were being misinformed on. He was never racist. Chipmunk said, hey, I think she's talking to Glitter. Rachel said, how about recognizing a man who was a husband and a father died? What happened to basic respect? I agree with you. There is fuzzy video of someone on a roof. There is. Let me see if I can find it for people who may not have been able to see it. There was a video of some dude like creeping along a rooftop. I don't know if I have it on me right now. Let's see. It's not the greatest footage. You basically see, is it this one? No, that's his shooting. You basically just see this like tiny little ant-like person creeping along a rooftop. Yeah. Here it is. It's very hard to see, but where that black line in the center of the screen is, on the left side of it, there is a little figure on the roof. Yeah, I'll pause the noise. They might zoom in on it. Hold on. There. So it's a little tiny figure running across that rooftop in the background. So, all right, let me take you here. I'll see if we've got a close up of that. We might have a close up of the suspect creeping along a roof. There's been no updates recently though, which is concerning. Yeah. For people who didn't see it before, it's a little hard to see, but like I said, on the left side of that black line, there is a little figure on top of the roof there for you. So there you go. There is another video where I think it's a guy before the event happens, and he's sort of saying to his buddy, there's a guy on the roof. And they're like, oh, do you think he's military or police or something? And he's like, yeah, should be. And I was thinking to myself, that's exactly what happened before Donald Trump was shot at. People were saying, there's a guy on the roof, there's a guy on the roof. And everyone's like, oh, there's a guy? Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, did we learn nothing from that first one? Woman of Steel said, I think it's security. Might have been security, but you would think they wouldn't be looking for him. Paul Son's mom said, there are crisp, clean pics of someone on a roof on a building straight out from Charlie. I've seen it as the person is more visible prior to the shot, then he goes flat after he leaves. Really? I don't think I've seen that one. I've only seen the one that's of a dude talking. I'm pretty sure it's before everything happens. Let me see if I can find it. There's just this guy. He's like, oh, do you see the guy on the roof? And he's like, oh, he's like lying down, but before he was running across the rooftops. It's here. It's this one, I think. Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, it's this one.
Getting right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying. He just ran from over, where's my finger? Whoa. From over there, ran in. And now he's right there. Just saying, just getting right.
So there you go. That's the only other one I've ever seen. Those are the two. If there's others, I haven't seen it yet. Those two are the ones that have sort of been going around. I'll have another quick look. Let's see. And then yesterday we had 2 bodies found in 2 different cars in California. Did you guys hear about that? There was a famous singer, and his car was in an impound lot. They were called because a smell was coming from the vehicle, and they opened it to find a torso inside of the vehicle, a torso. And then they found another vehicle a couple of hours later that had another body inside of it in California. Yeah, I'll show you. Body found in car. Decomposed body found in a, yeah, here, I'll take you to it. Let's head out to ABC 7 in California.
It's been a really hot summer.
Yeah.
Oh, this is upsetting.
Residents of this West Hollywood Bird Streets neighborhood are realizing tonight they've been unknowingly walking past a dead body for some time now. When this Tesla arrived at a Hollywood tow yard Monday morning, workers say the car was emitting a foul smell, and it wasn't long before the decomposing body of a woman was discovered in the front trunk. It was the same smell these residents and their dogs have been smelling for more than a week now.
He took a very big interest in sniffing all of it. I'm just remembering something. I mean, this is going to sound horrible. So we would walk by the hedges, and I'm like, the hedges always smell like something decomposing. And there's a lot of rats around in here, but there was always a smell. There was always a smell.
This man, who lives about 50 yards from where the car was parked, didn't smell anything, but says he did notice something seemed off.
The only thing odd was out of a state license plate, and it was banged up and kept moving from one place to other place within a couple of blocks from here.
The car, which has Texas plates, is registered to the singer David, who is from Texas. David, whose full name is David Anthony Burke, has 33 million monthly listeners on Spotify and 3.6 million followers on TikTok. He's currently in the midst of a world tour, performing tonight in Minneapolis. So far, there's been no comment from the singer, but incidentally, a second body was found in another impounded car today, this time in a burned out vehicle in South LA. This one is not believed to be connected to the Tesla. Police in the coroner's office are now working to determine who the victims are in both cases.
There you go. One that had been moved around a neighborhood for a period of time. And even the lady said her dog kept going to it because it smelled like horrible. And then a second one that was a burnt out vehicle where they found another body. They're saying in the one that belonged to the singer David was only like a torso and a head. So the rest of the body is missing. Where the rest of that body is, I don't know. But and then in this car was a full body, but it had been set on fire. No, I don't know. Not sure. I think it was. I think the one belonging to the singer was some sort of violation, traffic violation or something, and they brought it in. The second one, it was in the impound lot because it had been set on fire. So, yeah, very strange. Very, very strange. 2 bodies found in 2 different cars in California on the one day. Hi, Kat. What are you doing? I don't know. Come on. Muffin. Hi. Do you want to go sleep over there? Mr. Floppy Ears? You want to go sleep over on the other side? Hey, you look tired. Hey, hey. Hey, stop biting. Stop. All right, that's it. Come on. Come on. All right. He started biting. So biting, he has to get put down. He's being naughty. Miss Woozy said Muffin demands acknowledgement. He does do that a lot. Wendy says, did you see anything about the same guy? What? Yeah, you are getting sleepy, very sleepy. In Dallas? No. What? What the hell? Why? Was this like an accident, like an automobile accident? No, it wasn't apparently. Here, I'll take you to. Is that a motel? Let's go to Texas.
Now to a wild story about a savage attack at a Dallas motel today. You've probably seen it, heard about it. We want to warn you, though, some of what you're about to learn and hear is very graphic. Tonight, one man is facing a capital murder charge after witnesses say another man was beheaded with a machete. Our Marvin Hurst hearing from witnesses tonight.
Suspect has a machete, and Fire is noticing that he is actually cutting someone's head off.
3422 Samuel Boulevard went from peaceful to shocking. Dallas emergency responders received the call around 9:30 Wednesday morning. A beheading at a motel. Johnny, who doesn't want to show his face or give his last name, unfortunately says he saw it all.
What I saw, the dude that was cleaning up, he was coming out at 106. He was going at 108. And I was standing downstairs waiting on my ride. The manager was walking past him.
The 56-year-old says both men worked at the Downtown Suites Motel. Neither Dallas police nor the motel confirmed that. Police did say that 37-year-old Jordanis Cobos Martinez allegedly killed 50-year-old Chandran Nagamayala. It was the way they say he did it, with a machete, as the victim tried to escape the ambush and the blade.
He was trying to get to his office, and he was hollering for his wife and them to tell my help. And then the dude was chasing him. He literally chased him down, and he couldn't get in the office.
In front of the victim's family, Johnny says, beheading the man.
He literally went over there and picked the man's head up and walked over to this dumpster and put the man's head in the dumpster.
Kim, who doesn't want to release her last,
Beheaded the guy and then put his head in a dumpster. Crazy. Literally crazy. Oh, Cat. Hey, Cat. Why would he behead him and then put his head in a dumpster? What is going on today in the world? It's like all the crimes are happening all at once. They're all happening in the same sort of time frame. Crazy. All right, I'm glad that you're not in Dallas, because you might be beheaded, apparently. All right. Where's Crocodile Dundee when you need him? I'm not sure. Probably off dying somewhere, because he's like ancient now. He's probably off fighting an ancient crocodile. By the way, I want to thank my friend Joe. Hey, Joe. Good to see you, my friend. The other Joe. The OG Joe. Joe, good to see you, buddy. I haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're doing well, my friend. Thank you very much for the donation to the PayPal. I appreciate it, because a lot of people do that, because if you do the super chats, they get stupid amounts of money taken out of it. So if you don't know this, if you do a super chat, the creator automatically loses like 30% off the top, and then, other fees and stuff that we have to pay ends up being like the creator sees something like 28% of all super chats at the end of the day, like cash in the pocket. So when people can use the PayPal or the links in chat, I appreciate it. It's very, very kind. Helps get me to other trials and stuff like that. So very much appreciated, Joe. Carolina said the world is on fire. Between all of this and the conflicts and war around the world, it's so bad. I'm often grateful my late parents do not have to live in these times. I think a lot of people are pretty glad that their parents don't have to see what the world has become, because I think they would be pretty shocked. Although some of our parents lived through wars, and grandparents lived through like World War II and things like that. So, Cat, you can't keep knocking the microphone. Come on. Yeah, lie down. Yeah, lie down. Crazy animal. Yeah. So a lot of our grandparents and that lived through world wars, and so I don't know if they'd find it that bad, but still, it's not the world we would like our children to and our grandchildren to inherit. I think we'd like to have it a better place than when we got it. So hopefully we can somehow figure that out, because it can only get worse if we don't deal with it and address it. Wendy asked, have they located the 2 younger remaining children in New Zealand? Yes, so they did. They found those 2 children later that day. So later the same day that their father was shot in that altercation with police, where, Muffin, basically, yes, they did find them. Muffin, why are you sleeping like that? Yeah, see? The microphone. There you go, buddy. Yeah, lie down. Good cat. Yeah, he keeps knocking the microphone. He keeps wanting to be in front of it. He's like, talk to me, not this crazy flashing shiny thing. He's like, talk to me. Chipmunk says, I feel that way too. My grandparents are passed now, and our medical system is crumbly. Don't get me started on the medical system. Don't. Not after what we've been through in the last 4 months. Last year, but 4 months, yeah. Yeah, he's crazy. Wendy asked, that's a relief to hear they're not out there alone. No, so the daughter who was captured after the father shot the cop and then the cops killed the dad, the daughter helped them find the other children. So she led police to where they were hiding in the bush. Hey Pisces, how are you? Oh yes, thank you. Yes, I saw this the other day. Monday after the football, Monday after Monday Night Football, there was a story that came up on ABC 7 New York, because that's how I was watching the Monday Night Football. They were saying that there was a fire, and when they put out the fire, they found two elderly people. One of them was chained in the home, and then they released surveillance footage out yesterday. Hold on. Give me a sec, I'll find. Thank you, Pisces. I'll look it up.
Breaking news in Queens, where we have just learned a house fire investigation is now being treated as a homicide.
Yeah, police found two people inside of the home after firefighters put out the flames. And moments ago, we're talking about 20 minutes ago, police released new video of a man they believe set the home on fire. Let's get to Eyewitness News reporter Jaysha Patel joining us live in Belrose with the new video and new details on this ongoing investigation. Jaysha.
Well, Pedro and Charlene, this fire turned into a homicide investigation yesterday, and the details are disturbing. Police believe a man and a woman inside the home were set on fire, and sources tell Eyewitness News that the man's remains were found tied to a pole in the basement. And just into our newsroom, we have surveillance video of that suspect. Take a look at your screen. You can see a man walking on the sidewalk in broad daylight. You can see he's wearing a black jacket, a black hat, along with black shoes, and he's holding what looks like a duffel bag. And police say the victims who were set on fire are a 77-year-old man and a 78-year-old woman. Officials say the fire started just before 3:30 p.m. yesterday on 254th Street near 87th Drive in the Belrose section of Queens. And you can see the fire burned the kitchen, the windows blown out, and the interior completely charred. A neighbor captured a picture of the flames, and Newscopter 7 was overhead showing the quick response from firefighters who got in and out of the home in less than an hour. And neighbors tell Eyewitness News that the man and woman who lived inside the home had been there for at least 40 years and raised a...
But just a few hours ago, they actually caught the guy who did it, the guy in the video. Suspect in custody after couple severely burned in horrific double homicide in New York City. They were both aged in their 70s, and they were stabbed and severely burned, and one of them was chained inside of the home. They say a man who allegedly murdered, robbed, and set fire to an elderly Queens couple after they led him into their home under the guise of charging his phone is now in custody. The suspect, 42-year-old Jamel McGriff, was taken into custody Wednesday evening near Times Square. They say Frank Alton, 76, was found on Monday tied to a pole in his basement, suffering from multiple stab wounds, and his wife Maureen, 77, was found on the house's first floor, severely burned. But now they have got the suspect. Here is Jamel McGriff, and this was a undated police handout. And that is who they have arrested near Times Square this evening for that double homicide in Queens. How sad is that? Someone who tried to show kindness to someone by allowing them into their home to charge a mobile device. And yeah, they were killed for it. Killed because they were kind. That is, what is the world coming to where people seem to take advantage of people like that? Not just take advantage, but then decide to end the people's life. I mean, it's, yeah, horrific. I'm going to take you to an update one here, and it has some background on Jamel. Yeah.
An urgent manhunt underway to find the man at the center of a double homicide investigation in Queens.
Police say the suspect tortured an elderly couple inside their home for hours before setting the place on fire. Good Day's Briella Tomasetti, she is live in Queens Village with the latest on this investigation. Briella, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Tashani and Dan, good morning. The details of the story are all too horrific, but the NYPD this morning is giving out a serious warning. That is 42-year-old Jamel McGriff, the ex-con accused of killing and then torching the home of an elderly couple here in Queens, is armed and dangerous. The police commissioner says he has a criminal record that spans 30 years. And this morning, as you both mentioned, an all-out manhunt is underway. But yesterday, the NYPD released new video and still images of McGriff. He was last seen yesterday pawning 2 cell phones up in the Bronx. Surveillance footage also captures him walking down a Queens sidewalk dressed in a black jacket, black hat, blue jeans, black sneakers, with a paper bag and backpack in hand. According to the NYPD, McGriff spent 16 years in prison on a 2006 robbery conviction and was out on parole at the time of the double murder. He's also wanted by police for 2 recent robberies, one at a Harlem GameStop from this July and another at a Manhattan Verizon store where the clerk noticed he had a fake gun and fought him off. McGriff also failed last year to register as a sex offender, which should have violated his parole.
He had been checking in regularly, and this parole officer is actually did a great job for us, not on 1 but 2 occasions, because he also did the identification for us for the robbery that took place in the confines of the 13th precinct, which was the Verizon store.
Surveillance video shows McGriff approaching one home at around 10 o'clock yesterday morning, according to police, and then asking the owner if he could come inside and charge his phone. That homeowner declined, but he then proceeded on foot to the home of Frank and Maureen Alton. Investigators say Alton initially let McGriff into the backyard, and then both men were seen going inside through a back door. McGriff.
So he spent almost 2 decades in prison, been in prison most of his life, and he gets out and starts committing more crimes again, including robbing stores, but then decides to take advantage of this couple and murdered them because he was trying to take advantage of them and probably steal their mobiles. It sounds like that's what he's done, because he tried to hawk 2 mobile devices for cash a couple of days after the murder. So what do we say on this channel? You don't have to be smart to commit murder. And this guy is not very clever, because he left his fingerprints everywhere and then decided to try and hawk the cell phones with his own ID. Wow. So what did you gain out of this, young man? Not young man. What did you gain out of this, man? Because you killed these people, took them from their families after they showed you kindness. Then you decided to try and hawk some of their property, and you basically gave yourself away, and now you're back in prison less than a few days later. So in those few days, what did you gain? Nothing, right? Nothing of value. So to kill 2 people, you've gained nothing. If that was your aim, just say you like to use people and take things and, I'm number one, I'll do what I have to do to survive, you gain nothing. All you gained is a life sentence. So maybe likes jail. Yeah, I'm sure there's an easier way to get yourself locked up than committing a double murder and torturing the homeowners beforehand. Kim says, what an idiot. I agree. Mentally ill? I don't know if he's mentally ill, but he's definitely dumb to do that and then just get caught a few days later, that tells me it's a waste of life. That's what it is, a waste of life. Let me go here. Is this a court session? They might have had a court session today. Let me have a look. It's a press conference. Let's have a look. What is this?
On some short notice. We are here today to provide updates on 2 ongoing investigations and to request the media's and the public's help with one of them. First, at this time, the NYPD is searching for the suspect in a horrific double homicide, robbery, and arson that occurred in the confines of the 105 precinct on Monday morning, September 8th. The person responsible for this crime should be considered armed and dangerous. The NYPD and our law enforcement partners are actively searching for the suspect, and we are now asking for the public's help to locate him. Based on video images obtained at and around Monday's crime scene and a positive ID from the suspect's parole officer, we are looking for Jamel McGriff, male, black, 42 years old, with a last known address at 2524 Creston Avenue in the Bronx. Mr. McGriff was last seen on video from earlier today, pawning 2 cell phones at 385 Fordham Road in the Bronx, wearing a black t-shirt. The incident details are still under investigation and preliminary at this time. Here is what we know so far. Video obtained from the Belrose neighborhood of Queens on Monday at approximately 10 a.m. shows the suspect approach a home and speak to an occupant. Witnesses state that the suspect claimed that he needed assistance, that his phone battery was dead, and he was asking if he could enter the house to charge his phone. At this first house, the suspect is denied entry. He then proceeds on foot to a second house, the incident location, which is 8786 254th Street. At that house, video shows the suspect interacting with the male victim, and it appears the suspect was allowed into the backyard. At approximately 10:18 a.m., the suspect and male victim are seen entering the rear door of the residence. The suspect is next seen on video exiting the house 5 hours later at approximately 3:08 p.m. and walking eastbound on 87th Drive. At that time, he was wearing a black hat, a black jacket, black sneakers, and dark blue jeans, and carrying 2 bags, 1 light-colored paper bag and 1 dark-colored duffel bag. Additional video then shows him walking northbound on Little Neck Parkway towards Hillside Avenue. About 14 minutes after the suspect was seen on video leaving the residence at around 3:22 p.m., the fire department responded to the location after being notified of a fire there by a member of the victim's family. Once the flames were under control, 2 victims were found deceased inside the home. 76-year-old Frank Olton, who was the one seen on video interacting with the suspect outside, and Mr. Olton's wife, 77-year-old Maureen Olton. Mr. Olton was found in the basement, tied to a pole with multiple stab wounds. Mrs. Olton was found on the first floor, severely burned. At this time, there is no known connection between Mr. McGriff, our suspect, and our victims beyond this chance encounter. The exact causes of death in this case are still under investigation by the NYPD with assistance from our fire marshals. McGriff has a lengthy, violent criminal history stretching back 30 years, including multiple robberies. He is currently out on parole for a first-degree robbery he committed in 2006 after serving more than 16 years on that conviction. He then failed to register as a sex offender in November of 2024, which should have violated his parole, and he is also wanted by the NYPD for 2 other recent robberies committed in Manhattan, one in July and one in August of this
Yeah, I'll leave it there. But that was the press conference that had some of the more details about what happened to that couple in Queens. I'm glad they've got him in custody. They turned that around very quickly. Jamel McGriff, here's his mugshot again for you. There you go. And killed that elderly couple for no reason. Gained nothing except for he's back in jail. Probably will never be released again. You know, it's very sad that the people who show kindness in this world get taken out of it, and that's exactly what happened here. So, really, their families have every right to be mad, and they should be mad at the people involved here. If they knew he was still committing crimes, how come his parole officer didn't do something about it? If he didn't show any remorse or any rehabilitation, why was he ever let out after that 16-year jail sentence? This is what's happening to our society when people are just given automatic parole and they're just like, well, your time's up. See you later. Have fun out in that wide world. We can expect nothing less than for people to reoffend. So I don't think any of us should be surprised at the crime. I think we should be surprised that, nothing's ever done to fix it. Chipmunk said, I'm upset over this, but thank you for sharing it, Ping. Very happy they caught him. And this wasn't a whodunit for years. I know far too many of our stories end up as true crime folklore, and it ends up being folk tales, the ones that keep you up at night. It happens far too often in true crime where they become these legends where people wonder about them, which the Long Island serial killer was that for a long time. And it was very lucky that they figured that out eventually, but it took far longer than it should have. All right. Yeah. I want to take you to another story out of Australia very quickly. There was another childcare worker. This is like the third or the fourth in a matter of months. A Sydney childcare worker is charged with CA after police made a shocking discovery on his computers. They said this childcare worker was charged after an investigation into CA material unearthed almost 500,000 photos on his computer. 500,000. They're saying here the AFP on June 20 sees several electronic devices from the home of the accused. And they're saying at the moment he has a court order which restricts reporting of his name. About 1.4 million files were identified on these devices, including 500,000 unique images. They said the number of files does not provide any indication of the scale of the alleged offending. And they said, rather, this indicates the volume of work required by investigators from the AFP's victim identification team. The man is aged in his 30s and was charged on the 10th of July of this year. He will appear in Parramatta Local Court on Friday on 7 counts of using a child under the age of 14 to make CA material. An 8th charge relates to the transmission of CA or CSAM material. Insane. They say officers continue to methodically review the electronic material. When asked by reporters, New South Wales Cabinet Minister Rose Jackson said she was not aware of the case, although it sounds incredibly problematic. The man's identity and his prior places of employment cannot be published until the case progresses further through the local court. The order was made to protect alleged victims from psychological harm and to avoid causing undue distress to the victims, also to their parents and carers, and to alleged victims not yet identified to police. This is like the third or fourth or fifth guy this year that was a childcare worker that has been charged with crimes against children in Australia. Earlier this year, A Melbourne childcare worker called Joshua Dale Brown was charged with SA against 8 children under the age of 2, including having hundreds of children that were in the same childcare centers where he worked tested for sexually transmitted infections. I don't know what it would be like to have to take your child to get tested for STIs, but I would imagine that it may be just as traumatizing than some of the alleged offending might have been. So it's been a bad year for childcare industry in Australia, where they keep finding these very sick people that are working with people's children every day. So really, really horrible. Michaela said, I think these type of cases need to be charged for every single photo. Every photo would be a victim, so I agree. Wendy asked, said, when did he ever have the time to do anything else like work? What a disgusting POS. Jurassic Jail for SOs? I like the idea. Giant T-Rexes. That'd be a good idea. Yes, I agree. It makes me sick too. I will try get the court documents from that. Apparently, we can apply from Friday. So I will see what happens on Friday at court, and I will try get you more information about him from the courthouse in New South Wales. Chipmunk, yep, I'm angry too. It is not, how is that still a thing? That we're still finding these men that work in childcare that seem to have these proclivities for young children. It's almost like their dream job, and somehow they are skirting around the children's check. So in Australia, to work with children, you've got to have a check for, like, if you have any past criminal anything. But that only catches people who have been charged before. It doesn't catch the people who are actively offending but never been found. So it's a problem. Now, there was a very dumb woman in Australia who put forward the idea to ban all men from any type of childcare industry, including, I think it was like including schools, like middle school, high school, all that. And I say this, while while young children are often victimized by men, there's a growing number of females who are offending against teenage boys and girls. And the actual, like, the arrest records show that the amount of arrests are actually picking up for females, especially in that age bracket between about 13 and 18, just before they're legal at 18. But between that, like 12, 13, and about 17, 18, the number of females being arrested for breaching their position of trust, sexual crimes against teenage children, has actually been women. Women have been the largest uptick in charges over the last 5 to 10 years. And I would say, before you demonize all men, understand that some of you women have a problem in your own backyard, and it's not a one sex answer, but I'll say there's obviously a problem we've got right now in Australia with men who have these, who seek out positions of trust with children, young children, to offend against them are men. So there are a problem there, but I don't believe banning all men from ever being around children is the right idea. Otherwise, we're heading towards 1984, and we're starting to be like, the handwife's tale, or whatever it's called, the handmaid's tale. We're starting to move into that direction. Just Call Me Kim said there have been way too much of that over here lately. USA has had hundreds of cases of females offending against just, between that 12 to 17 age group has been massive in America. There's been heaps of arrests of females. It has been mental recently. Jojo said, well, if we stop giving house arrest and community service as punishment, then it will stop. Possibly. Gayla said, I just watched a female teacher being charged for sleeping with an 11-year-old boy, and she said he started it. Yeah, there's been a bunch of them. Yeah, there's been heaps of females being arrested for crimes against about that 12, 11 to about 17 age bracket. Michaela said, I'm terrified as a mom of an 11-year-old boy. I worry about both men and women predators. I think the way around it is to talk to your children openly. Tell them what the risks are and tell them how to identify it and what to do should they ever find themselves in that situation. And the answer is tell someone. Don't be afraid to come and tell mom and dad. Don't be afraid to approach a person of authority and tell them what is going on. Do not, under any circumstances, keep it a secret. Don't keep it a secret. Don't listen to the predator. Tell them, teach them to talk openly and honestly with their parents or someone they trust, and to make sure that this is an open line of communication. Because if you keep things as sort of, oh, that's my child's business, I don't want to get too much into their privacy. Well, you're harboring and fostering a relationship that, has a lot of secrets. There's one thing to give some privacy, but there's one thing to also have, very open lines of dialogue and not feel embarrassed to talk about certain subjects. If you can get over that awkwardness phase, then you'll have, much more open dialogue with your kid. So, yeah. Gail said, have a good open relationship with your kids. Tell them that they can tell you anything. Right. And start small. So if they tell you that they've done something wrong, don't punish them like they're like, oh, I stole a candy bar. Tell them it's wrong, but tell them that, we all make mistakes, and then show them what to do next time. That's the right thing. But if you just punish, yell, and vilify them for it, you'll close down that line of communication very quickly, and they won't tell you anything. And if something bad does happen, they won't tell you till it is too late. They will tell you after they've already been offended against. So that's right. Just call Kim says, let them know we don't keep secrets. That's right. That's right. Stolen childhoods, a lot of it going around, unfortunately, including to some young men, which is the most disturbing sort of uptick in crimes. It's really bizarre. Right now, we're seeing a lot of these women offending against, preteen and slightly just into the teen bracket of young boys. And it's strange. I don't know where it's coming from or why, but yeah. Gail said, thank you for trusting me enough to tell me, is one of my go-to statements. I think that's a good idea. Just call Kim said, I always told my kids to call me if you're drinking, you won't get in trouble rather than drive. That's a good idea. You won't become one of those parents who get a phone call at 3 a.m. in the morning that their kid has been found dead on a road after they got drunk and got behind the wheel. I think there's a lot of unfortunate parents who have had that phone call. Michaela said, it took me actually having conversations with my child to realize I never had an actual conversation with my parents. No secrets, and he knows I'll always have his back. Good work, Michaela. Miss Woozy said, I think it's just being reported more than it had in the past because now boys feel more empowered to speak about it. Possibly. I would have to look at the criminal records dating back, but at least the reporting on the subject has become sort of on vogue with reporters and newspapers to report that crime. And we're seeing it a lot more, which is good, because it shouldn't be a badge of honor. It shouldn't be something you tell your mates at the pub when you're 19, because it's a crime. It just is. It goes both ways. We can't vilify men for doing this to young people and then expect to just turn a blind eye to women doing it. So, all right. Rachel said, I think talking is most important. I think so. Just Call Kim said, thank God boys feel safe telling. It is good. It's a good change. Danny says, I'm back. I'm glad you're back, my friend. I'm glad you're back. No real updates in Kirk, Charlie Kirk's investigation. I was hoping we might have had some more updates as we went through the show, but so far we are not. So far, there's been no new good updates. I really thought we might have got a suspect description, something like that, but so far, no new updates. Let me double check. No anything. A lot of live reporting, but not a lot of live updates. Suspect had been released. Yep, we heard that. That was a couple of hours ago. Maybe we're just too late in the morning now to get any good updates until, 7, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Gail said, I think more female teachers are actually doing it now. No clue why, as I don't get it. I think they just think it's easy for them to abuse their position of trust and care. Chipmunk said, I wouldn't have survived as a kid in this day. Yeah, me either. I agree. Time got worse, that's for sure. Kim says, I think we just know more now. It could be. Or it's the 24-hour news cycle is making more things end up in the news. That might be part of it. But I'll have to look at the statistics dating back for several decades and see what we can find. All right. I'm going to wrap up for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It was great hanging out with you for a couple of hours. I should be back tomorrow. But it might be early. I might be on at around 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, as I've got a meeting in the afternoon for Mrs. Ping. That's where I was for the last 2 days. We had medical appointments for Tuesday and Wednesday back to back for checkups for her surgery. And they were with 2 different doctors at the same freaking hospital. And they booked them one Tuesday, one Wednesday. So we had 2 days living at the hospital. So that was fun. But I should be able to do it tomorrow, but I may be on early. Maybe as early as 9 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. But it won't be this late tomorrow. Hey, I appreciate it. If you've enjoyed tonight's show, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Remember, we've got that trial that's underway right now. I have sent off my paperwork to be approved to cover it from the court. We will see if the judges and council agree. So I'll tell you, in New Zealand, it's a little bit different. You have to actually apply to the judge overseeing the trial, and the judge has to agree, and the defense and the prosecution have to agree to let you cover the trial. So I've had to put in an application, and I'll have to see whether the defense, the prosecution, and the judge agree to let me cover it or not. So we'll see. I've never seen that before, but apparently that's the way they do it in New Zealand. I've been talking with their media team, and yeah, that's sort of how they do it over there. So we'll see if we get approved to get the court information every day. Hopefully we do. Yes, I will enjoy my evening. I will. Hey. Okay. I will entertain you. Hopefully we get some updates about Charlie Kirk. A really dark day for America. And I will say this, there's been far too many dark days on both sides of the political spectrum just this year in America. It shouldn't be like this. We shouldn't be having people killed, whether it be at a stadium event, at a university, or at their homes being terrorized and then killed and attacked. We all need to simmer down just a little bit and remember, like, our countries are built on debate and bipartisan, parties like this. It's the wrong idea to go around shooting people just because you think their ideas or ideology don't align with yours. Our countries have always been like that. It's why it's democratic, because we have various sides that have different ideas of how the world is run, how our countries are run. And that's always been the case in democratic countries. So I don't see the need to go and shoot each other and destroy lives for that. I think we've gone a step too far. So please, I give you the one ask is to simmer down just a little bit and take some of the heat out of these different political, conversations. Take the heat out of it. Talk to people with ideas and try to find common ground. Even when you think you both live on an island, there's always ways to find a bridge to each other. And I implore you to find that bridge. All right. I love you all. Have a good night out there. Bye.